Managing question and answer sessions. A very significant part of your webinar is the question and answer session. Many people will attend your webinar just for the questions and answer section. This could be due to the fact that they have a specific question related to the subject of the webinar which they cannot find an answer to. Or perhaps they want a detailed explanation about something. It doesn't matter why your attendees are keen to participate in your Q&A session. What is important is that you answer as many questions from attendees as you possibly can. This will make them more willing to purchase your products and services and look out for future webinars you are running. Determine the number of questions you will tackle. You need to think about the number of questions that you are going to be able to tackle on your webinar. This number will be dependent on the amount of time that you are willing to dedicate to the session. The speed in which you are able to answer the questions is also a factor you need to take into account. How large will your webinar be? If you're only going to have around 50 attendees, then your approach to answering questions is going to be different than if you are expecting 1,000 people to attend. With a small number of attendees, it is practical for you to answer every question yourself as they come up during the event. But when you have a large group of attendees, it is not a good idea to tackle questions that arise during the presentation. It could really upset the flow of your event. If you decide to leave questions until the end, then you could literally spend hours tackling them all. The benefits of getting help. If you are expecting a large number of attendees and don't think that you will have the time to answer all of the questions, then you should consider getting help from a webinar moderator. A moderator can help you throughout the event. They can provide answers to questions that they already know the answers to, for example. Some people are going to ask some really basic questions, such as what your website address is or for the address of the offer. Your moderator can take care of these for you. Your moderator can hold the questions for you until the Q&A session when you have the time to provide answers. Your moderator can filter out repeat questions. It is very likely that more than one person will ask the same question about your event or the subject matter. Then there will be questions that are just not relevant to the subject or the webinar that they can deal with. Finally, your moderator can prioritize the questions so that you provide answers to the most important ones first. You do not want to miss any of these questions as they could mean the difference between getting a sale and not. Ask your moderator to interact with the audience in the chat as well, as this will drive webinar engagement. Your approach to questions. The way that you approach questions from your attendees will depend on your personal preference and the facilities of the webinar platform you are using. Most webinar platforms have a chat room which your attendees can use to type their questions. Some webinar platforms will have a separate question management feature where they can send them to your phone or to someone else, your moderator for example, so that you can answer them as they come up throughout your presentation. If you're going to use a moderator, then you will probably need to add them as an organizer so that they will be able to field the questions. Some platforms will actually allow you to add a moderator. You can see that your choice of webinar platform plays a very important role in the way that you can approach questions from your audience. What is the best time to take questions? This really does depend on the number of webinar attendees and your personal style. Some webinar presenters prefer to take questions as they come up throughout the presentation. Others prefer to ask their attendees to hold all of their questions until the end. A method that we don't recommend is to tackle questions at the start of your webinar. The best way to answer questions. The way that you answer questions from your attendees is very important. You need to show that you are grateful for them asking questions and that you really care that you answer them fully. This means that you will need to spend a little bit of time to answer each question. Rushing an answer is not a good thing. If you rush to answer a question, then the person or people that asked it are going to think that you don't care about them. The rest of the attendees will pick up on this as well. They are likely to form the view that you are only interested in selling your offer and not in really helping them. You need to avoid this at all costs. If you do not fully understand a question or need more information from the person that asked it, then ask for clarification. This demonstrates that you really do care. We recommend that you take all of the questions using the chat feature and that you answer them live using the microphone. Your moderator can type your answer in the chat as well. In the next video, we will discuss the best ways for you to promote your webinar.